All right, you guys, I'm excited to have this conversation with somebody I know I've known over 25 plus years. This gentleman, I'm gonna let him tell you a little bit more about himself and all the things that he's involved in and all the things that he does. Mr. Tommy Collins.
It's a pleasure to be here, Rashad. One of my oldest friends. I've been following your journey. You've been doing this for a long time. You put a lot of work in. I'm proud of you, and I'm just happy to be here.
Definitely, man. Tell them a little bit more about what you do.
So I do a lot of things. A lot of people, if someone went to law school and they became a lawyer, then they known as a lawyer or a doctor. I like to say that, I've had a lot of experiences. What I do professionally, I'm a commercial real estate broker. I lease office space, office and industrial space. Here in Atlanta, we do deals all over the country. The world is our turf. I try to give back to the community. I'm involved in some civic organizations, and I'm a parent. I'm a husband. I'm a son. I'm a brother. I'm an Atlanta native.
Good
deal. The list goes on and on.
Good deal. Now, before we jump into this whole conversation about personal development, we got to start somewhere because, me and you go way back. You know what I'm saying? We went to school together, all of that stuff. So the one thing about it is I just introduced you as Tommy Collins. I've never in my entire life called you Tommy, ever. And you just, when you address me, you use my name Rashad, which is my name. But these days, most people call me RJ because those are my initials and it just became easier over time. But tell me the Tommy story and I'm gonna tell you the RJ story.
So, and this is the name by which I'm addressed by my friends. You can tell how long they've known me. I would say pre-college, even in college. I went by Tom, and I mean that's what everybody knew me as. It was Tom. But when I got into the professional world, I just went by Tommy Collins. So because at the time I was trying to reinvent myself. So I said, okay, this is who I am now. I've officially grown into Tommy, and this is who I left Tom behind, but it's been following me. It's been following me indefinitely. But yeah, that's the litmus test for how long how long somebody has been my friend based on what they call me.
I agree, man. The same thing for me, because
let's get to the RJ story.
So for me, the same thing. So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. Tell us about the RJ story.
No, I was saying that's the same thing for me because depending on how long you've known me, growing up, it's Rashad. You know what I mean? Growing up throughout my whole life. But when I got into this whole speaking world or whatever the case may be, people looking at my name, which is Royshad, Royshad, people looking at that, I guess it was difficult for them to pronounce. So they was mispronouncing it. And I think me and you had a conversation. And, I know you're going to tell your version of this story, how you going to tell your version. But I remember us having a conversation. It was like, man, you need to be RJ. You need a professional.
I gave you your name.
I'm going to give you that.
I gave you your name.
And I adopted it,
So
RJ.
So when you blow up, so when you blow up, you're selling millions and millions of books. You got your program is world renowned. RJ. Just remember it. Just remember who gave you your name, sir.
I owe you a little something there, man. But yeah, RJ just stuck. Man. Yeah, RJ stuck. So RJ are just my initials, Rashad Jamal. Yep. So it's just my initials.
You definitely couldn't use Rashad Jamal.
I couldn't use Rashad.
But that was Jamal. That was a different time. That was a different time.
It was a different time. Yeah.
Because it was a different time because even the world climate, right? Us embracing who we are we weren't as comfortable with that as we are now.
Yeah.
Now your name can be Rashad. Now your name can be Jamal.
And
but it was a different time 20 years ago.
True. And I actually use the names interchangeably. I mean, I don't use Rashad unless you really know me. And it's become something like, I need to know we got some history for you to use that name. Like if I just met you 10, 15 years ago or 5 years ago, call me RJ because you don't know me that well to be calling me by the name my mama gave me, basically. So, you know.
Yeah. And then, you know, in this world, as Black men, we have to have an alter ego to a certain extent. To a certain extent, we have to have an alter ego. And I use, and that was a part of the reason why I started going by Tommy, was because I wanted to put a different version of myself, an improved version of myself out there. And I didn't want to drag the Tom along with me. Okay. If that makes sense.
Makes sense. What have you seen that has been different since you started using Tommy versus Tom?
It's just a mindset. It's just a mindset. When I'm announced by Tommy, you know, my mind is just, you know, it's focused on the task at hand. You know, when I'm Tom, I'm more relaxed. You know, in my element. You know, I kind of let my guard down a little bit, but you know, Tommy is all about business, 100%.
And see, for me, it was a little bit different. I didn't use it necessarily because I thought about what you just said, but that makes sense. I used RJ more so because I got tired of having conversations about Roy Shad. Roy Shad, what does that mean? Man, I don't got time for all of that. Just call me RJ and let's just get on with.
That's my dad's name.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get on with business. But it's like a lot of times your name seems to be a distraction sometimes for people. And I didn't want to deal with that. Let me just get to the business versus you focusing on this name that you don't quite understand.
Yep. Totally agree.
So, man, let's get to this question, man. What I've been talking to people about is personal and spiritual development. And the first question for you is, just over the time from Tom to Tommy, what has that personal growth and that personal development been like for you? What has that journey been like?
It's been hard. My mom told me, she used to tell me that life is hard. Once you embrace that fact, it becomes easy. So, you know, when you're talking about personal development, it's like going to the gym and you're doing 100 reps, you're doing 100 push-ups. You're gonna be sore. You're gonna feel sluggish. You know, you know, it's not gonna feel good. It's gonna be painful. But when you heal and your muscles come, you know, when they flex up and they grow, then, you know, the pain is a byproduct of the process. So when you talk about personal development, I'm looking at, you know, figuring out where my bad habits are, figuring out where my negative tendencies, you know, lie, figuring out what triggers my bad habits and negative tendencies, you know, trying to dig deep within myself, you know, to find those demons and fight them on a daily basis. You know, it's a daily journey, man. Life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Nobody has this thing figured out. So for me, the word personal development is just a daily fight to become more and better.
What made you want to take that journey? Because so many people never really do that. So many people are just kind of like, look, man, I got to keep this grind up. I got to focus on this external stuff. I got to get this money. I got to do all of these things. What made you say, all right, I got to turn inward and become a better person in the midst of all this other stuff that I want to do?
I think your environment has a lot to do with the decisions you make. And I've had a lot of people that I could look to as an example of, you know, how to carry yourself, you know, what to do, you know, how to do it. But at the same time, I've seen what negative consequences comes along with you not being on top of your personal growth. So you have a choice. We all have a choice. Either we grow or we die. And that's with anything. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I didn't want to get to a place in my life, you know, as I started getting older and, you know, you got to do some self-assessment. You figuring out where you are, what you really want out of life, and what are you going to be willing to do to achieve your goals. So I came up with a plan. This is what I want my life to look like. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to accomplish. What is it going to take for me to get there? Okay. So it was just, me going through some real tough conversations with myself, me dealing with some real, me internalizing, the decisions that I made up to that point, and what it's going to take for me to, break through and really make this short life that we have, make it worth it. And then I have a family also. I have 3 kids. So, you bring kids into the equation, what kind of example am I going to set for them? I got nephews. What kind of example am I going to set for them? My mom, my parents, my parents, they work extremely hard and they've done things the right way. What kind of legacy am I going to leave, for my kids, where when they're having a conversation about me 20, 30 years from now, what are they going to say? How is the world going to remember me? I mean, that became important to me. So, that was a part of my process.
Okay. Now, quick question. You said something. Now, and this might be 2 separate questions, but being a father, how has that made you personally develop? Being a husband, how has that made you personally develop?
It's accountability. And I think that personal development at its core requires accountability. Because if you have children didn't ask to be here. So you have a choice. Am I going to be a good example or am I going to be a bad example? But it's all about who you are. I mean, and I wanted to be a dad. I wanted to be the dad that made the I wanted to be the Jack Kennedy or the Joe Kennedy. What's the John F. Kennedy's dad name? Was it Joe?
We're gonna go with one of them.
Okay, we're gonna go with one of them. But I wanted to be a kingmaker. Like I want to take some potential. My kids are like science projects to me. I want to take some potential, mold them, grow them up, and just see how great they can be. And just knowing that I was a part of that. I was a part of that process. Whatever you feed is gonna grow. Sure. And then being a husband, so it's hard not to be, and I'm not even gonna use the word successful, but it's hard not to be on top of your game when you have a strong woman at home. Because if you want an accountability partner, go get a wife.
Wow.
Get a wife.
Say that one more time.
My mom, she was my accountability partner. It was like I traded in one strong one for another one, man.
Wow. So you said if you want a real accountability partner, go get a wife.
Go get a wife.
That's strong.
Get a wife.
That's strong. So would you say having?
I mean, some people are different. Say that again, Rashad. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I said, so you believe having a wife, did it enhance your personal development? Did it make you stretch more? Did it push it along? How did that just increase it?
My passion and drive have never been, I've always been an ambitious person. I've always been somebody who wanted, to be the best at whatever it was that I chose to do. But I mean, even Tom Brady has a coach, even everybody has somebody that they're accountable to. In business, every business has a board of directors, and the board of directors' function is to serve the company, but at the same time, it's to hold the company accountable. So if you, as a man, if you have somebody, especially a strong woman at home, we only have so much, our attention spans you can only focus on one thing at a time. So, if you got somebody and you looking left and they're looking right, you always got your back covered. but I personally think it helps. And all of this is just my opinion.
No, it definitely sounds
I can't quantify or use any empirical evidence on any of this. It's just my opinion.
Nah, it makes sense. Make perfect sense. So let me ask you this: out of all of your growth and development, what's two things that stand out the most that you was like, hey, that was the hardest thing for me to overcome. That was the hardest thing for me to grow through.
That's a good question, Rashad. The number one thing is ego. Is ego. My personality, I did a personality test, and my personality type is a influencer, ID influencer, dominant. I forgot the second word. I forgot what, exactly what I forgot what the second word, but the first one was influencer. But so it touched on my personality. My ego could get in the way of, me reaching my full potential. And I felt like, I didn't take certain chances because I didn't want to fail. And that fear of failure, and the ego and the fear of failure, right? So I had to, to really, do some deep soul searching. And I had to ask myself this question. Is my fear of failure or my willingness or my hunger to be the best I can be? Which one am I going to feed? Which one am I going to feed? It was a saying that it was a philosopher said that we all have two wolves inside of us. We have one that's envious, that's jealous, that's ego driven, and then we have another side of us that's humble, gracious, that operates off of gratitude and some other characteristics. And I hope you can follow along where I'm going. Mm-hmm. And the side that dominates is the one that you feed. Mm-hmm. So I had to really just do an assessment and just say, okay, where's my ego? How's my ego contributing to my development, or is it inhibiting me from developing in the way that I need to? And I got to get over the fear of doing something and failing. I got to get over that.
That's
you
really
get over the fear of embarrassment.
Wow. No, I was just gonna say that's really good, because it makes me think about, first of all, the story of the two wolves is always a great story, but it makes me think about how we have to personally develop.
I know I butchered this story too.
No, it's good. I just posted it like the other day, which is ironic, but
was that you that posted it?
Yeah, I posted it.
All right, well, hey, shout out to Rashad for posting that.
Yeah, so yeah.
I didn't even give you credit for it, man. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my story. I don't know where the story came from, but here's the thing, though. I feel like we have to personally and spiritually develop, because certain things are born within us, but I don't think if we don't develop those things properly, then we can't use them. Because the thing that I remember about you from even when we were kids is that you were always confident. So you had to develop your confidence past the level of the ego so that you can use that natural ability of being confident without the ego taking over and being a hindrance instead of something that's beneficial for you.
Man, I totally agree. And, confidence just comes from, how you feel about yourself. A lot of times, especially as Black men, this world will beat us into submission. And what we have to do is we have to keep that belief and that confidence in ourselves. We have to keep that fire that that glows within us. Can't let anybody dim it. The world tries to dim it every day.
True.
But that's a part of our superpowers, man.
True.
You know, and as go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, let me ask you this then. And that's a question that I've been asking all of the men that I've been talking to is, do you feel that personal development is different for men? What we go through in our development as a man, how is that different than you think what a woman might think it is, or how do you see personal development for men being different?
I mean, men and women are innately different anyway. So, of course, our path to personal development is going to be different. You know, men are I hate going down this road, but you know, men are more. Well, this is going to be a tough road right here, Rashad. But guess what? I'm just going to say it, man. But men are more. I'm not going to use the word logical, but we operate based on facts instead of emotions. And what I mean by that is that a woman could be going through a natural cycle and she can lose full control over her emotions at any time. I mean, every man is on this earth has experienced it. So with that lack of, I mean, but it's something that they can't help. They can't help, you know, and that's where empathy comes from. And us realize, and as men, we realizing, you know, what it is to be a woman. We can never fully realize what it is to be a woman because we never experienced it. But with that being said, our journeys are going to be a little different because as men, you know, confidence is the most important attribute to success, period. You can have all the skills in the world. You can have all of the tools and the gifts, but if you don't know, if you can't give them to the world in a confident manner, then nobody's going to receive it. It's not going to have the same effect. So as men, and we do need a certain level of, our ego does help us on a certain level. But, you know, with men, it's a balancing act between that ego, you know, between that ego helping us and hurting us. But with women, you know, they have to deal with the emotional part of, you know, what it means to be a woman. And I think that's the difference between the personal development in men and women is men's personal development is ego driven. Women is, you know, dealing with their unstable emotional, you know, states.
Do you think it's more difficult for a man? Because if you look at what society says about a man, we're technically supposed to be developed. Like when we were kids, you know, we grew up in the man up era. You know what I mean? You got to man up. You're supposed to know this. You're supposed to be able to do this. But we didn't know what we were doing. So do men least likely personally develop because you're already supposed to be this thing? Do you think that's the reason that we're kind of slower on this journey? Because I feel like women just develop, like, and I'm not saying they don't go through a personal development journey too, but I just feel like at such a young age, women are kind of on point. Like they know where they're going, they know what they want to do, their mindset is a certain way. We just kind of, we're a little bit slower on that.
I feel like women are more in tune with themselves than men are. Because it could be something that a woman doesn't like about herself, and she's gonna address it. Men are gonna suppress it. You know, when it comes to personal development, a lot of men procrastinate because, you know, to your point, you know, I don't know if anybody growing up, I've never had a conversation with somebody and they talked about, you know, about their personal problems. You know, we had counselors, you know, who helped us figure out what electives to take and, you know, what colleges to apply to, but we didn't have anybody to talk to.
True. Is it because it's not accepted?
And I think that it's definitely not, you know, it's definitely not something that's promoted.
True.
It's definitely something that's not promoted. It should be.
Should be.
Because I mean, it's tough being a human being, period. It's something everybody needs, some level of, and I'm going to use the word therapy and personal development at the same time.
Yeah.
Because until you can address, what's keeping you back, you can never move forward.
And I think
you can't go backwards and forward at the same time. It's just,
I think that's a big deal because, like you said before, I feel like to a certain extent, women are taught to address the things that they may not, like about themselves, or they may not think is, something that should be there, things that need to be approved. But as a man, and I can speak for myself, it was more so like, I don't have no flaws. I'm supposed to have any. So because of that mentality of I'm not supposed to have any, I overlooked them. And if I did kind of see some, like you said, I suppressed it because nothing about telling myself you're weak in this area sounds manly according to what I was taught that was manly.
And you're right. And that's a part of the growth process too, is, really figuring out where those societal stigmas and stereotypes are figured into, who you are. How are my actions, how are my behaviors, how's my thought process influenced by antiquated ideals, ideals that aren't progressive, ideals that just don't make sense, or am I gonna really try to figure out what my highest and what my best practices are, because at this point, I just feel like it comes with growth. It comes with growth. You just got to figure out, what about yourself, or what about your personality, what about your thought process, just doesn't make sense. Where it come, why am I this way? What led, or what was I taught that led me to look at the world in this specific way?
True.
Oh, it was because my dad taught me that that men don't cry, right? Or my mom taught me this and that. So as a child, you soak up all of this information from your parents, from the world, from your teachers, from your friends, and it really doesn't show its head until until you become an adult, and then that's when you have to do some self-assessing and figure out what you want in life and what it's going to take for you to get there and what's holding you back.
One thing that I can say that has come up in all of these conversations, and I've had more conversations. Well, I'm about balance with guys and versus women, but I'm having more conversations with women soon. But the one thing that keeps coming up is antiquated ideas that we're still trying to implement today.
So give me an example of an antiquated idea that's consistent with with who everybody that you've been having conversations with.
For men, the antiquated idea is that a man is this image of a thing that we're really not. Like, men are strong, men always have it together, men supposed to be on point. A man can't show emotions, a man can't be fearful. A man knows how to do XYZ because he's a man. Like, all of those antiquated thoughts of just what a man is supposed to be is something that we've talked about. And I think oftentimes, if two sides, if you're a woman and you believe all of those antiquated things, then you probably overlook great men today because they don't check off all of those boxes of antiquated ideas of what a man is. And if you're a man and you don't personally grow and develop, you diminish your own value because you don't fit in or check off all of those boxes or antiquated ideas that you've been told you should be.
I get it. But at the end of the day, the definition of courage is in spite of, right? Mm-hmm. So men deal with emotions, men deal with fear, men deal with anxiety, men deal with all of these negative, emotions, but You got to push forward in spite of. It's nothing, you cannot help how you feel. You can help how you react. And I think that a lot of times when we have these feelings, instead of, being thoughtful about how you react to them, the thought of us having the feelings, throws us off. Like, oh man, I'm scared. Oh man, I'm anxious. And you get stuck there. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, okay, let me take a deep breath and I'm going to push forward in spite of. And I think that's the part of the equation that's not talked about, is that, you're going to feel these emotions, you're going to be uncomfortable. That's a part of life. That's a part of life. And then, you do have women that hold on to, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rashad. No, we got a delay. Everybody, we have a delay. So we got a delay. So we're trying to fill out, we're trying to fill out. Go ahead, Rashad.
I was just going to say, to your point, I do think in spite of, we push forward. And I like that about being a man, that I've been taught to push forward. I think what becomes dangerous is when it becomes so overwhelming to you that as a man, you suppress it and you don't deal with it. So my biggest thing today is telling men, like, hey, it's okay to go to therapy. It's okay to go get help. It's okay to say you don't understand, or you don't know, or you're not perfect, or, we joked another thing, you can't fix a transmission, just as an example. But it's okay for these things to be there. Yeah, you got to push forward in spite of, but sometimes acknowledging these things and dealing with them a little bit, I think is better than suppressing them, because if not, I think you have men that aren't healed, and then that stuff comes out in other ways. It comes out in addictions. It comes out in violent behavior. It comes out in all of this stuff that you've been bottling up this whole time, and then one day it just explodes on you.
Absolutely. If you don't take your trash out, your trash is not going to disappear. It's just going to keep piling up and piling up. Mm-hmm. So, and it all goes back to personal development. I called you. I called Rashad and I said, listen, I'm trying to, I've grown immensely, but I'm trying to get to the next level. But I'm dealing with some anxieties. I'm dealing with, I'm second guessing some things. It's not like me. I'm uncomfortable right now. Help me. So to your credit, that's what we have to do. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. You're not gonna reach your full potential unless you address your issues. And there's nothing wrong. And it takes courage to admit that you have issues. And you don't have to admit it to anybody. Just admit it to yourself. Just look in the mirror and say, you know what? I got some things that I have to work on. Look in the mirror. I look in the mirror and say, I have some things that I have to work on. And I just make it a daily task to try to get better every day. Even if it's something as simple as me doing a to-do list and making sure I cross it off. And just making sure I cross it off, just so that I'll know that, okay, I've accomplished my goals for the day.
Now, I think a lot of times it's the message that I've been wanting to get out on both sides of this is for men to understand that it's okay to get help. It's okay to say, I need help. You may not be able to say that to everybody, but you should have, a coach, a therapist, somebody that you really trust, that you can say, hey, I need help. I don't understand this. On the flip side of that coin, the message to say to women is that I know sometimes you may see this man as he's supposed to have it all together and he's supposed to have figured this out, but realize that sometimes there's a lot of pressure on this man that he doesn't know, A, how to express, because nobody has taught him that, and B, he don't know if it's okay to express it because he doesn't want to feel less than this image of a man that he's been told he's supposed to be. So a lot of times when women see men and they standoffish, they don't want to talk, it's because in our heads, we're trying to figure out what's that line. Can I tell you all of the stuff that's going on in my head without you judging the fact, like, damn, dude, I didn't, you don't really have it together as much as I thought. Or should I just keep suppressing it? Or how do I look at that? So that's been the message I've been trying to get out.
I think it's an issue of humility as well, because you have to be humble. And when I say humble, I'm not the most religious person. I mean, I'll admit it, but spirituality is at the top of my list for who I am as a person. And you have to be humble enough to understand that you're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You're never gonna be perfect. But you damn sure better work to be better. And then when it comes to women, it's a matter of trust. Men, we have to, and this is some advice that I give any guy. I haven't been married long, but I've been in long-term relationships. And you have to choose a person who you can be vulnerable around. One day we're gonna be old, and somebody's gonna have to change our diapers. That's a humbling experience. Yeah. Are you gonna have it together when you're in a wheelchair? No, somebody's gonna have to do everything in the world for you. When you're a baby, do you have it all together? No, somebody has to do everything in the world for you. If we get into a car accident, if we fall sick and get cancer or illness, we're not gonna have it together. We have spots where we're strong, but it's inevitable that we're gonna have spots where we're gonna need help. Very true. And you have to be able to be vulnerable. You have to be. You don't have, like I said, you don't have to be vulnerable to everybody, but if you got, and women, you have to allow, you cannot use a man's vulnerability as leverage. You can't use it as ammunition. Can't do it. You can't do it, because that's going to speak to your character. Mm-hmm. If you have a woman and she is a high character individual, she's going to understand, and she's mature enough, she's going to understand that, okay, he's not clicking on all cylinders right now. I need to help him get his mind right so he can get back out here and, tear shit up.
True.
Like, guys.
I think we froze a little bit. Okay, still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. You made a good point.
That's crazy, man. We
got a little technical difficulties, but you made a good point though when you said a woman has to allow a man to be vulnerable and not use that against them. I couldn't agree more, because I think that's a part of the fear for most men, is that I would open up, but I don't want this to be brought up at the wrong time later. I don't want this to be brought up against me later. I don't want this to be brought up to try to teach me something or criticize me about something later, because when you do that, it makes us go 10 times deeper back into that shell.
But it's a part of the game too, Rashad. You can't take everything seriously, right? And I think that's a lot. I think that's a problem as well, and that's where anxiety comes in. And I think that's where all of that suppression of your feelings come in. Relationships, man, it's a leverage game. You live with somebody, you building a life with somebody. You guys are gonna play these internal. You're gonna play this internal tug of war with each other. I'm gonna get on your nerves, you're gonna get on my nerves, I'm gonna push your buttons, you're gonna push my buttons. So, my wife, man, and I'm sure that I can speak for every man in America or in the world, is that your woman can break you down in ways that nobody else can, because she knows you on a different level than everybody else. She knows your deep secrets.
Right.
She knows how you sleep at night. Mm-hmm. She knows things that nobody else knows. So of course, she's gonna have that leverage. She's gonna have that ammunition, and she's gonna have those triggers that she can use against you. But as men, you gotta have thick skin. It's like your kid. It's like your kid saying something crazy. you still love your kid, but you gotta correct this behavior. So it's not the person that we don't love. It's the behavior.
It's the behavior, but I also think that we have to, because I mean, I've been in a long-term relationship. I've lived with somebody, and I know, like you said, the woman you live with as a man can touch buttons that you didn't think existed in you. But I also think that when you touch those buttons as a man or as a woman, you have to realize, like, whoa, I touched the nerve, because no matter how thick your skin is, we're natural survivors as human beings. So if you strike me right here, I don't care how much it didn't hurt. When you go to swing a second time, I'm blocking, bro. That's a natural reaction. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So I think even though we gonna inevitably, both sides, men and women, we're gonna inevitably say something offensive. We're gonna inevitably use something that somebody has told us in another situation that doesn't apply. But I think when we do that, we have to now be mindful that maybe I should think twice about that again, because no matter how thick the skin is, my natural reaction is to block when you throw a punch. That's just what that is.
Man, that's a part of the game. That's just a part. That's a part of relationships. That's a part of, human interactions. If you're around somebody on a day-to-day basis or on a regular basis, you guys are gonna, you're not gonna agree. You're gonna bump heads. You're gonna, you're gonna have your small internal, trials and tribulations. A lot of times in relationships, you have these cold wars where you guys are, leveraging position, and you throwing jabs at each other, and it's passive aggressiveness. But but as an adult, man, you just gotta. And I think that the key to success in anything, man, is having a goal or having a purpose. Mm-hmm. So if you are in a relationship and y'all just living together and paying bills, I mean, I don't. It's going to be hard to get past the inevitable trials and tribulations of life. Sure. But if you and your significant other have a purpose and have goals, okay, here's where I want to be in 5 years. Here's where I want to be in 10 years. Here's what I want to help. I want to start this business. I want to put the kids, in this lane. You guys have something, coming to hold on to besides the BS, because I mean that's inevitable. We're all human beings. Nothing is, neither. Everybody has things about their personalities that at some point are going to clash with, somebody else. Best of friends, go through it, from time to time. I mean, that's just a part of life. But, but in a relationship, from a relationship standpoint, you just gotta look at things in the macro and not the micro. Okay. You got to look at the big picture. Mm-hmm. Instead of, whatever, disagreements or arguments you guys are going through today. And then, you just got to keep this in mind. If this person is happy, then that person is going to be somebody that I'm going to want to be around. But if that person is upset or they're always mad and it's based on some things that I'm doing, then it's always going to be some conflict. So, to me, that's the key to success in relationships, man, is to, have somebody who wants to make you happy, and you work just as hard as they are, reciprocating that. Okay. Now, I respect that. You're 100% right on that. Switching gears just a little bit, you mentioned something a few minutes ago about spiritual and not necessarily being religious. How important is spiritual development, in your opinion, on this life journey that we're on? I mean, spiritual development is, I'm going to say it like this, Rashad. Everything in this world is man-made. Well, when I say man-made, I mean, the constructs of, our society is man-made. Democracy, communism, Bitcoin, fiat currencies, right. Cars, condos, the industry, everything is man-made. Mm-hmm. But you take all of that away, all you have is nature, all you have is the infinite universe, and all you have is God, and all you have is, is the internal, discussion of who am I, why am I, where did I come from, and after this journey is over, where am I going?
Questions that
everything else is secondary to me, man.
And those are questions that we still don't really have concrete answers to. And I said this in another conversation. Some people will ask, well, why are you spiritual? Or why is that even important? Why does it even matter? And I think you just answered it. When we take away the things that man has created, because those are the only things that we know how to explain. We can explain how cars work. We can explain, all of these things that we use, how technology works, but not too many people can adequately, we have theories, but not too many people can adequately explain nature. They can't adequately explain, the universe or the infinite universe, as you put it. We have theories, but nobody can really tell us who we are, where we come from, how did we get here, why are we here, where are we going when it's over. So to me, that makes the spiritual aspect of who we are something very important not to neglect. And I know that's not important for everybody, but to me, it's a big deal on this journey because, like you said, when you strip away everything else that we've made, there's a bunch of stuff that we didn't make, and we have no real clue how it operates.
I agree 100%. And then I'll say this, is that the spiritual journey should be the fun part of life. The mystery, the discovery, discovering new things. When you're a kid, everything is fun because you learn. When you become an adult, you just become, you could become numb to things because you've seen and done so much. So the spiritual journey for me, and just acknowledging, that we don't have a grasp on where we came from and where we're going. And the only thing we know is we're here, and we have to, we're in a system where, a lot of our time is devoted towards, man-made, objectives. It's not devoted to, to true discovery of who we are. I mean, if you're in an economic situation where, money is not an issue, you can go on a spiritual journey, but, the way that society works and, the way that, the way that these bills are set up, right. You have to, you just have to live, with, understanding that the constructs that society has created are important. They are important. In this world we live in, if you want to have, good experiences, then it costs. True. But at the same time, you don't want to lose yourself in, just focusing on what's materialistic or, what's not as in the opposite side of the coin. A lot of people, they equate success to, how much money I have. But, you get cancer, you're dead 6 months later. I equate success to, me being on my deathbed, and I look around and I see, the love and the family that I created, and I see the impact that I've had on, on the world, and I just look at my own spiritual growth, and know that I live my life, being the type of person that is curious, that wants to learn, that want to understand, more about myself, God, the universe, as much as I can. It's just a part of the journey. The journey, people underestimate the journey. The journey is the most important. It's no destination. The destination is death. That's the destination.
Right. And we hope it's something beyond that. Coming.
I mean, that's where faith comes in. Right. I mean, that's something that we, everybody has to, to figure out for themselves. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't think about it.
Let me ask you this, because I know a lot of times I throw around the word personal development and all of this stuff. If you had to tell somebody that was listening to this right now that says, I don't even know really what that means or how to start or what to do. What would you tell them is like step one to developing and growing yourself?
That's a good question, Rashad. Man, you come in with them today. All right, so I would say for me, the first thing that I would do is write down 5 things that you want to accomplish in the next year, the next 6 months. You know, start with something small. You know, I want to understand, you know, who I am on a deeper level. So what is that going to take? You know, maybe I might need to go and sit down and talk to somebody. You know, maybe I need to get some books on, you know, on spirituality. You know, the first step to personal development is going to start within. I don't even know how to answer that question, Rashad. I don't know how to answer it.
And the reason I asked,
you gotta give me another question, man. Hold on, ask me that question in a different way. Ask me that question in a different way. That was just too abstract, man. Let's simplify it a little bit. Give me that question in a different way.
Make it personal then. If you were talking to, let's say if you were talking to yourself 25 years ago, what would you say should have been the first thing you should have done to start to grow? It could have been reading, it could have been acknowledging certain things. What would you have told you 25, 30 years ago, the younger version of yourself, in order to grow personally, spiritually, or whatever the case may be?
Get a pen and paper and write down all of your thoughts, all of your memories, every experience that you can remember. Write everything down. And then from there, you can see. A lot of times, you know, we don't take the time to reflect on our journey. So if I said 20 years ago, all of my experiences from middle school, elementary school, high school, growing up, every experience from my childhood, I'm going to write it down and I'm just going to study it. And I'm going to see what happened to get me to where I am today? And then figuring out where I want to go moving forward. And then coming up with a plan to go along with that. An idiot with a plan is going to be a genius without a plan any day of the week. And that's the second thing that I tell myself. Get a freaking plan. Get a plan.
I was just about
write down your journey and get a plan.
I was just about to ask you, you know, as we kind of wrap up, I was going to ask you, what's the one thing that you live by, like every single day? What's the thing that you live by? But that's a good one to get a plan. But is there anything you want to tell people that you live by every single day that they should think about?
You can't take your life that serious, because it's a finite experience. You know, this journey, you know, this life that we have is going to come to an end sooner than later. You know, it may be, you know, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, may be next week. Gratitude is the foundation of my life. You know, the first thing that I do when I wake up in the morning is just take a deep breath and just acknowledge my gratitude for waking up. Because it doesn't matter where I am in life. It doesn't matter how much money I have. It doesn't matter, you know, what kind of problems I have, what kind of issues I have. I have another opportunity to make things better.
Very true. That's good, man. That's real good. That's something that I definitely subscribe to as well. I think being thankful and being happy is something that I've learned to live by, simply because I feel like if I'm not happy and I'm not joyful, then I'm reveling in the things that didn't go well, and I haven't figured out how to produce anything good from staying in that space. So being happy and being thankful are definitely things that I live by. So I agree with you on that. Yeah. Go ahead.
We have very little control over this. We have very little control over this world. Very little control. You know, once we realize that, I think that, you know, our lives started to become different. You know, the only thing that you can control is your reaction. You know, I can go upstairs and go in my refrigerator. I don't have cream. Get in the car, boom, I'm dead, right? You know, you don't have control over anything in this world. The only thing you have control over are your thoughts and how you react to, you know, whatever the external factors are. So with that, you have to operate from gratitude. Have to operate from gratitude, especially if things are going your way. And then, you know, we all tend to look at our problems and think that, you know, our problems are the worst in the world. You know, the kids are bad. You know, the wife is getting on my nerves, and you know, blah blah blah, Corona, and you know, all the man. Just be thankful that you have a life. You know, be thankful that you know you have a roof over your head. Be thankful that you have opportunities. Be thankful that you have friends and people that you know that love and care for you. You know, there's some people out here that's alone. There's some people out here that are socially awkward. You know, that the world just, you know, throws them to the wayside. There's some people out here that don't have anybody. You know, whatever your situation is, somebody else is worse. Is worse.
Man, that's good, man. I think that's a good.
And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, I think that's a good ending note, man. That's a really good thing. Be thankful. And I'll just say, man, for the 25 plus something years that I've known you, man, I'm thankful to call you a friend, thankful to call you a brother. No matter if time goes by where we don't talk, we always pick back up like brothers, because that's what it's always going to be, man. So I appreciate you for that. In closing, though, share with them how they can get in contact with you. People may need some commercial real estate or whatever the case may be. Just let people know how they can get in contact with you.
Man, I appreciate the opportunity for you know, coming here and building with you. You know, you one of my oldest friends, man. I got a lot of love and respect for you. You know, I'm so proud of, you know, what you've accomplished. I'm so proud of the man that you became. And I am going to use this opportunity as a, you know, shameless plug. So if you, you know, so I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I'm a commercial real estate broker. So we do deals all over the country. I work with T. Dallas Smith & Company. We're the largest tenant rep, Black-owned firm in the country. Nobody else does what we do that looks like us anywhere. We're unicorns. We work extremely hard, and we take care of our business. We take care of our clients. And you can reach me on Instagram, Tommy L. Collins Jr. And I'll even put my phone number on here. It's 404-488-4054. If you need commercial real estate, if you need help solving any commercial real estate problem, I'm your advisor. Call me, reach out to me anytime. I'm here to serve.
Hey, man, I definitely appreciate you, man.